Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance units have intercepted and targeted North Korean soldiers advancing in an open field in Russia's Kursk region. Seeing the drones approaching, North Koreans tried to resist with their small arms. Realizing that resistance was pointless, they tried to escape, but were unable to do so and were destroyed as a result of kamikaze drone strikes. According to Ukrainian fighters, the Korean soldiers, who have been participating in the battles in Kursk for several months, are helpless against drones and mainly use a fighting style from an era when military technology was not yet developed.
The Ukrainian armed forces have repeatedly launched powerful strikes on military facilities of the aggressor country Russia in the temporarily occupied Crimea. Now the remnants of the Russian Black Sea Fleet have been relocated from Crimea, so the question arises whether there is the same interest for Ukrainian strikes with drones or missiles as before. The former head of the Luhansk Military Civil Administration and Deputy Minister for Temporarily Occupied Territories and Internally Displaced Persons in 2016 to 2019, Georgy Tuka, answered this in a chat on Glavred. According to him, a certain number of military facilities in Crimea have already felt the capabilities of the Ukrainian armed forces, although I am very far from saying that they have been destroyed. This, in my opinion, is an exaggeration. However, the Russian Black Sea Fleet has indeed been removed from the peninsula and is now effectively no longer in Crimea. But there remains a huge number of ground military facilities in Crimea, including many underground military facilities, which we currently have no way of getting to, he emphasized. The expert emphasized that on the one hand, the Ukrainian armed forces did indeed cause great damage to the occupiers on the territory of Crimea, but on the other hand, it is impossible to claim that the peninsula has lost its relevance as a potential military target for the enemy, as a powerful military base for the enemy for future aggression against mainland Ukraine, and this potential will remain until we regain control of the peninsula, Tuka believes. He adds that an incredible scandal is currently unfolding in Crimea, a real ecological catastrophe after tankers carrying fuel oil sank. The central government tried to ignore the problem for about 2 weeks, trying to present it as a minor nuance. But now, two respected environmentalists, one of them a corresponding member of the Russian Academy of Sciences, say that when the water temperature is about the same as now, fuel oil settles to the bottom, and when the water temperature rises, it rises to the surface. But during the time when the fuel oil rises and then sinks to the bottom, it releases toxic substances that were contained in the orange gas used by the US Army in Vietnam. The negative consequences of using this gas are still evident in the population of those territories where the gas was used. Certain genetic failures occur from generation to generation, and these territories significantly more people are born with certain physical disabilities, congenital disabilities, or mental retardation, and the level of various oncological diseases is also significantly higher. And now, in the coastal waters near the peninsula, Russian scientists are observing the appearance of the same toxic substance, adds the former head of the Luhansk Military Civil Administration. Tuka noted that now in Crimea, they are starting to sound the alarm. Therefore, in his opinion, the resort season in Crimea can already be written off. The offensive of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region has caused not only chaos on the front line, but also a scandal among Russian military bloggers and the Russian Defense Ministry, writes the Moscow Times. Z bloggers accused the command of concealing the real picture of the battles, while Russian propaganda continues to deny the obvious. Ukraine has achieved significant success in this direction. The Telegram channel Northern Wind, supervised by the Russian military group North, published a statement criticizing military bloggers for their publications about the advancement of the Ukrainian armed forces. The message claimed that publicists and bloggers are making up news about the front, the internet is surrendering villages, and then itself is refuting them. However, the specific settlements captured by the Ukrainian armed forces were not named, which caused an angry reaction among Z bloggers. The response that caused the greatest resonance was that of Yuri Podolyaka, one of Russia's main military propagandists. He confirmed that Ukrainian troops had indeed occupied the settlements of Fanasayevka and Cherkasskaya Konopelka, despite official statements that there had been no fighting in these areas. Even when the resources of the Sever group convinced everyone that there was no enemy there, our units fought and suffered losses, Podolyaka said. He emphasized that the Russian command slept through the attack by the Ukrainian armed forces and is now trying to hide its scale. Moreover, according to him, the success of the Ukrainian military forced the Russian command to postpone the planned offensive on Sudza, a strategically important gas transportation hub in the Kursk region. In turn, another major Z channel, two majors, called the posts by North Wind direct information attacks, inspired by the Russian military command. According to the authors of the channel, attempts to hide the successes of the Ukrainian armed forces and suppress criticism in their own ranks are connected with the desire of the generals to avoid responsibility for failures at the front. Meanwhile, the US-based Institute for the Study of War, ISW, has claimed that the Russian military leadership may be deliberately restricting coverage of events in the Kursk region at the Kremlin's behest. According to the ISW report, the Russian military is seeking to control all information as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues to declare his intention to use the captured Russian territory in future peace talks. Analysts also noted that Putin intends to drive Ukrainian troops out of the Kursk region at any cost before the start of negotiations in order to prevent discussions of the exchange of territories at the international level. The scandal between Z bloggers and the Russian Ministry of Defense confirms that the Ukrainian armed forces attack on the Kursk region was a real success, and the Russian leadership is feverishly trying to hide the failure.
On the night of February 14th, Russian armed forces struck the sarcophagus of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The information was shared by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The explosion and fire occurred as a result of a strike by a high-explosive drone on the sarcophagus, which was preventing the leakage of radiation from the destroyed fourth unit of the nuclear power plant. The image, which was distributed on Telegram channels, was recorded by cameras in the power plant area. The fire was extinguished in a short time. Although the sarcophagus was damaged, the radiation background did not increase. The IAEA also confirmed that the incident had occurred.